What's going on, everyone? Today is an exciting day. We got quite a bit of spoilers to dive into from set 6, the secrets of power, and they're actually just fully uploaded into the Star Wars Limited Card database. Now, some of these are ones that you would have seen in the past, but we have like about 8 or so. I mean, the command has a ton to talk about, but we have quite a bit of each of the aspects to go over that I am quite excited about. So a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. We were chatting about the spoilers earlier, but we're going to dive straight in with the Vigilance cards. And we get to start off with Vigilance Villainy with the Chancellor's Shuttle. This is a 2-cost ground space unit, Vigilance Villainy, 1/3. Restore 1 when defeated. If you control Chancellor Palpatine, you may give an experience token to a unit. Now, this is Chancellor Palpatine leader or unit. So we got a nice little Restore 1er. Just comes in, does a little thing. 1/3, 2 cost. Nothing too crazy going on. The actual experience token when it's defeated is decently relevant. This is one of those units that you kind of do, and I'll move myself over actually so it's easier for you all to see. You kind of do want to kill if you are an opponent because that Restore 1 can add up. But the experience token can give you a little bit of value even after it has passed on. So nothing too crazy, but kind of just a nice little value piece. We've got Newt Gunray, a 3-cost ground unit in Vigilance Villainy. It's a 3/4 separatist official. It's got grit, and when played and on attack, you may give another friendly official unit Sentinel for this phase. Now, this one's kind of interesting. Now, it says another friendly official unit, so it's not going to be able to use itself. But one of the things that I think about is like the Magna Guard, which was a card that people were playing back when Twilight of the Republic was a new set. This one's just kind of a little bit more interesting to me, though, because it is a 3/4 grit. Now, this is a really early grit unit to be playing. And of course, it's got the official kind of synergies. This is one of those cards where it could be very good. It just depends on how many and what officials we're actually getting and whether or not the deck actually wants to kind of create. And Palpatine, the new Chancellor Palpatine, for example, wants to be creating this sort of stall out until you're able to flip your leader to get all those plot cards readied up and ready to go. So honestly, nothing too exciting, but can be decent, it looks like, in New Gunray's case. We got Sly Moore. It's a 4-cost ground unit in Vigilance Villainy, 2/6 Republic official. When played for this phase, each enemy unit gets -2/-0 while it's attacking a base. So basically comes down and immediately neuters all of your opponent's units, especially if they're hitting base, not especially, only if they're hitting base. It also has plot, and remember, for those of you that don't, plot is when you deploy a leader, you may play this specific card from the resources, and if you do, you replace it from the top card of your deck. Now, this is not for free. This is fully cost. So when you deploy Palpatine as an example, you'll still have to pay for Sly Moore. But this one, it seems interesting in that if you are up against like a go wide deck, getting the -2/-0 for multiple units can be effective, but that's just not something that most people are really using. Now, one thing I do see with Sly Moore is this set does invite a lot more go wide potential, so maybe we have something there. Next up, Cad Bane, which we already know about. So we got Dogmatic Shock Squad. This is a 6-cost Vigilance Villainy, 4/6 with Sentinel, and it's got plot. It's kind of interesting seeing a lot of the Republic cards in the villainy slot just because of Chancellor Palpatine. But this one does make a good amount of sense. 4/6 Sentinel, nothing too special. Kind of just like a weak Obi-Wan as an example. But it does have plot, which means you get to skip that action. So you deploy your leader, you immediately get a 4/6 Sentinel as well. And that's kind of the advantage. Don't really see this being all that great, but it is a common, so kind of mediocre. Next up, we got 7 resource space unit Cantwell Arrestor Cruiser. It's Vigilance Villainy, 6/7 Imperial Vehicle Capital Ship. When playing, you may disclose Vigilance Villainy. If you do exhaust a unit, this unit can't ready while this unit is in play. So it's pretty interesting, actually. I think this disclose mechanic is very, very powerful because it just does something as you have the cards in hand. Now, 7 resources means that you're going to have less likely to have these aspects in hand, I'd say most often, just because you'll be kind of cruising through a lot of your cards in hand, unless there's more ways to draw more cards. But the fact that this basically prevents an attack and acts as a removal while it's in play and is a 6/7 isn't horrible. Problem is that most decks are going to be wanting to play these big space units, and if you're trying to be a little bit more controlling, are just going to want something like Avenger or Snoke or something that's just a little bit more expensive for a little bit more effect, right? Because if your opponent does get rid of this or bounce it or whatever, it is going to, you know, let that unit ready back up. And I guess bouncing isn't like super effective, but if they kill it, you still got to deal with their unit afterwards, which is not really what controlling decks want to be. But there is always Piet, right? There is always Piet. We got Donnie Pilgrim as the next one cost ground unit in Vigilance. It's a 1/3 fringe unit. When played and when defeated, you get to heal 1 damage from your base. So pretty straightforward, pretty mediocre. I mean, when played and when defeated, it's a lot of healing, right? That's 2 healing for 1 resource as a 1/3 body. Maybe you could do something with Thrawn, but I just don't really see this being all that incredible. Maybe it's a sideboard option for, you know, decks that have 1 toughness units, so you can actually trade off with something. Or maybe there's going to be a fringe deck. I mean, we have seen some payoffs with that. Next up, we've got Charged with Murder, 4-cost event in Vigilance. You may disclose Vigilance. If you do, defeat a damaged non-leader unit. This just doesn't seem good to me really at all. So you have to have this 4-cost event, which, by the way, is directly competing with things like Shatterpoint, Fell the Dragon, Takedown. And then you also have to have double Vigilance in your hand, so 2 different Vigilance cards. And you can only defeat a damaged non-leader unit, so you has to already be damaged. This just doesn't seem that good at all. I don't see how this is going to replace or even compete at all with Shatterpoint, Fell the Dragon, or Takedown. Next up, we've got Retaliation. This is a 5-cost event in Vigilance. Defeat a unit that dealt damage to a base this phase. Again, this is literally just worse Vanquish in most situations. The one exception is if your opponent's leader does damage to your base. Well, now you can retaliate on the leader and kill the leader. So that's the only case in which I am like, ooh, kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, I'm just playing Vanquish or even No Glory or something like that in this slot. But that's all the Vigilance cards. There are honestly a lot of commons and uncommons. I do think, you know, something like your Nuke Gunray could be exciting. Slimore seems more of a sideboard card, but nothing too crazy or exciting for me. Next up, we've got the command cards. We can start off with Chancellor Palpatine with the I Am the Senate tag. It's a 3-cost ground unit in Command Villainy. It's a 2/2. When played, if you control a leader unit, so you have to have a leader unit, you create 2 spy tokens and give those tokens Sentinel, and it's got plot. So I do like this effect. By the way, if you look at plot, so when you deploy a leader, you may play this card from resources. As far as I know, with plot, you can deploy multiple cards that have a plot, and that could be kind of interesting. Where you have a bunch of these cheap units like Chancellor Palpatine that come down and boom, you get to get a huge wide board very quickly, and that could be pretty powerful. 3 resource 2/2 is obviously horrible, so you need it to be a leader unit, or you need to have a leader unit on the board in order for you to actually even think about playing this. Otherwise, it's a 3 resource 2/2, and you just can't be playing that, right? And it is control a leader unit, not just a leader in your leader section. So really, this depends on, can we have this like go wide spy stuff work, or, and this is kind of less of an exciting way to use Palpatine, just using it as like a damage soaker, right? You play your leader, boom, you get 2 Sentinels. Cool, I guess. It's going to soak up damage because there's 0/2s, so whatever, but not too bad. ISB Such Shuttle is next. It's a 3-cost space unit in Command Villainy. It's a 3/2. When played, if friendly unit is defeated this phase, create a spy token. So 3 resource 3/2 space unit is pretty bad. The when played effect can be decent. Getting a spy token and again going wide is something that I think this set is trying to lean towards, especially with the officials like Major Partagaz. But this one just doesn't seem all that powerful to me. A 3/2 with another unit is actually something that normally would be pretty exciting in like Magic the Gathering, for example. But in this game, again, I just need to see some sort of something to push this go wide strategy to where you actually can get all your attacks in and not just get completely overwhelmed. Next up, we've got Mas Amida. It's a 3/4 4-cost ground unit in Command Villainy. When played, give an experience token to each of other 2 official units, and it's got plot. This one seems reasonable. Nothing like crazy about it, but I do like these types of cards that come down and give, share their tokens to a bunch of units. Now, reminder that it can't hit itself, so it can't be like 4-cost 4/5 with another experience token to another official unit. You have to have 2 other official units. It's not too unlikely because it does have plot, which means it's very likely that you'll You know, let's say you're on 7 resources and you deploy whatever it is you deploy, just out of the blue, you deploy your Darth Vader, and then you go Palpatine and then Masamita. Well, now you've got multiple official units that you're able to deploy your tokens onto. So it doesn't seem horrible, but nothing too exciting. Next up, we got Vice Admiral Rampart. This is a 4-cost ground unit in Command Villainy. It's a 3/6. On attack, may disclose Command Villainy. If you do, give an experience token to each of up to 2 other units. This one actually looks pretty decent. A 4-cost ground unit means that it's pretty early on, and it does have a big butt. So 6 toughness means that it's kind of tough to take out early on. And then disclosing double Command Villainy isn't the easiest thing to do, but it is not unlikely. Very something that you can plan around. And then giving an experience token, if you're able to actually get 2 experience out of this can be a real big deal. Especially, let's say you're like a 5 deploy leader, you deploy Vice Admiral Rampart, you have 1 other unit on the battlefield, you get 2 experience tokens. I mean, that could stack up very quickly. I wish you could give the experience tokens to itself. Like a lot of these units, just like at least 1 of the experience token can go on 1 of the units that are attacking. Like Admiral Rampart can become a 4/7 on attacks, which maybe it's just too powerful, but I do think that, you know, going wide in this game is very tough. And again, all of these cards are like paying you off for having multiple units or multiple tokens on the battlefield. Next up, we got Dedra Miro, another one that wants to go wide. We got a 6-cost ground unit, 5/5 Command Villainy. This is ambush and on attack, create a spy token. So she comes down, you ambush something, you create a spy token. Now, one of the things I think is a little bit worrying with her is the 5 toughness, and that she, in most cases, is just going to come down and maybe trade. And then, of course, the spy token isn't something that's like super relevant. Man, Command Villainy ambushers that are on this level of resources is really tough to compete against. I mean, you got Darth Vader and Darth Maul on 7 resources, which is just 1 more than this, and you get such an incredible effect from either one of them comparatively. Now, does that mean that she's horrible? No, not at all. I actually think that if we're able to actually get something rolling with go wide spies, something like Dedra Miro, and the same thing applies to Rampart and Masamita, maybe something is there. I Am the Senate is next. Oh, actually, we've already talked about this one, but create 5 spy tokens is pretty interesting. We got Mina Bonteri. This is a 2-cost crown unit in Command Heroism. It's a 2/4. It's actually a really nice stat line with Restore 1, and when defeated, you can draw a card if you disclose Command Heroism. Honestly, this is like a high value card right here. I'm kind of liking this one. I like early officials, and it's always interesting to see a lot of the Republic in Villainy and then the Separatist in Heroism. But I do like the way they're taking the aspects, like Heroism and Villainy. I think it makes a lot of sense. That said, I mean, a 2/4 for 2 is very solid. We've seen that with like Yaddle, for example, and Adi Gallia. Restore 1 is good. Again, we've seen that with Yaddle. And then it's an official tag, which again, like Yaddle, because this is like the closest comparison I can see, is very relevant. If, you know, officials are relevant, then you're really going to want Mina Bonteri in your deck. And then just being able to draw a card in most cases when she dies is just a little bit of extra free value. I'm in for Mina Bonteri. This seems like one of the more powerful cards out of this whole thing. And it's not like it's because it's super powerful. It's just such an amazing curve filler for those official decks that I'm actually pretty excited about this one. Next up, we've got Ahsoka Tano. This is a 3-cost ground unit in Command Heroism. It's a 2/5 Force Jedi Republic. And when this unit completes an attack, you may disclose Command Heroism, and if you do, attack with another unit. So you get to kind of chain together attacks. I actually wonder if we've already talked about this card now that I think about it. I think we have. But anyways, this one is kind of interesting to me just because these are the types of cards that I feel like you really need if you're going to have all these spy tokens, or you're going to have all these tokens and multiple units running around. You need to be able to get in actions immediately. Next up, we've got the Naboo Royal Starship. This one is a 4-cost space unit in Command Heroism. It's a 2/5. Each friendly leader unit gains Raid 2 and Overwhelm, and then it's got plot. So a 4-cost space unit 2/5 isn't that exciting. If it had Sentinel, I would be like, okay, maybe we got something here similar to Bright Hope, but it doesn't. It's just a 2/5, and then it's giving your leader some power-ups. Now, of course, this does work because it's got plot. And maybe you got something going here with like a Sabine deck. Like, honestly, you deploy this and you get Raid 2 on your Sabine and Overwhelm, and you have a 2/5 space unit. Like, this seems kind of interesting to me. It's not like incredibly powerful. And of course, people are like, oh my gosh, but dude, twin sons, twin sons. Yeah, I don't know about that, but maybe the raid 2 is good enough in twin sons. But something like Sabine actually makes it a little bit more interesting to me. The 5 or 6 to deploy leaders, it's kind of harder to use that last couple of resources. And the raid 2 is going to matter a little bit less, but maybe in a more aggressive deck. And again, you might think like, why Sabine? Well, just deploying her super early and getting immediate 2 damage and having a 2/5 spacing, which is kind of obnoxious to deal with, might actually do some good work. And there's a lot more in command here. We got next up Mon Mothma, 7 cost ground unit in command heroism. It's a 5/8 restore 3 rebel official. When played, may attack with any number of other units, even if those units are exhausted. They can't attack base for these attacks. Dang it. Honestly, they could attack base. That would be absolutely incredible. I would be super in for that. I would love it if she could attack herself. I think that would be really good. Almost like an ambusher, like a pseudo ambusher, right? Where she comes in, she's exhausted already, but you're going to get the ambush restore 3 and you get attack with other units. I think that would make her truly a solid card. I think right now it'd be really tricky to know, because if you're going to go wide, you're not probably caring about your units attacking their units. You really want to be going into their base in most situations. That said, I mean, 5/8 restore 3, it's a decent stat line. It's got a relevant ability, and it's one of those abilities that could do some big things in certain situations. Next up, we've got Dismantle the Conspiracy. 6 cost event in command heroism. Absolutely love the art with 5s here, by the way. Friendly unit captures any number of non-leader units with a total of 7 or less remaining HP. Of course, we've seen this type of card with a Cad Bane. Now, the difference between this and like Cad Bane as an example is 1, you get 1 extra HP off of Cad Bane. 2, Cad Bane costs 1 more. But more importantly, Cad Bane's an actual win con in of himself. Like having a 7/7 on the board is obnoxious. This thing just completely falls apart if your unit dies, and that can really suck, to be honest. It can just really suck. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not a good tempo play, really disrupting your opponent's kind of game plan with this one event can be powerful. I just don't really see it. Cad Bane's not like super widely played, but it does have kind of a decent showing, 1 or 2 copies here and there. And so I could see Cad Bane doing some good work, but mainly because of the body. And this one doesn't have it. So I'm not as high on Dismantle the Conspiracy. Next up, we got Thailander Shuttle. It's a 3 cost space unit in command. It's a 2/4 on attack if you have the initiative to create a spy token. Honestly, this doesn't seem horrible to me. It's a fringe card. Again, we're starting to get more and more fringe cards. But a 3 cost space unit that's a 2/4 isn't terrible. We've seen a lot of those. The question is, are you really going to get this on attack for all that often? Maybe 50% of your games. It depends on the matchup for sure as well. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the if you have initiative type cards, just because I don't really like relying on, half luck. That just doesn't feel good to me. So I'm not like generally interested in these cards. I don't think it's horrible. And if you can get a couple spy tokens out of this, probably worth it. Even if they just die immediately. They at least, this kind of is a 2/4 with like restore 2 or restore 3 for an example, which isn't really played, but you kind of get my point. It could be okay. Next up, we've got Nubian Star Skiff. This is a 4/4 resource 4/4 win space. While you control an official unit, this unit gains restore 2. So it's a 4 resource space unit with 4/4 stat line with restore 2 in most cases if you're going to be running that type of deck. This type of card, it just hasn't really all been that good since, earlier sets. One of the big things is, these types of like just stat sticks with a little bit of restore just haven't really all been that great these days. And I don't really see this being strong at all. Next up, we've got Naboo Security Force. This is a 6 cost ground unit, 5/7. When played and when defeated, you may reveal or disclose a command card. And if you do, you give a friendly unit Sentinel. So this is a 6 resource 5/7 Sentinel when they come in. Honestly, a little bit better. 5/7 Sentinel is decent, and coming in as a 6 cost unit that does give itself Sentinel. I mean, honestly, not terrible. It's not like extremely exciting, but this is one of those Sentinels where maybe it could do some good work. I could see this being super obnoxious in your draft games, so maybe that will cause some people to really suffer. Just you're getting there into the later game, you got a bunch of small units and you want to get in some damage, and they just drop this and you're like, dang, it's got 7 toughness, which means I have to attack with multiple spy tokens. Heck no. Next up, we got Unveiled Might. This is a 4-cost upgrading command. It's just a +2/+3 with plot. So the idea here is, and I think this is where plot's going to be really powerful, is like immediately upgrading leaders. So like you deploy your leader and then you can immediately put the Unveiled Might on your leader. This seems like one of the stronger plot situations, but it is one of the weakest cards we've seen yet. I mean, a 4-cost upgrade with +2/+3. This is like most upgrades that are +2/+3 cost 2. I mean, this is so overcost, but it really is all for that plot. And the reason why they did that most likely is because they realize that immediately upgrading leaders can lead to some very powerful things in the game. And so I think they're kind of being very careful with that. So I'm excited about the what this card represents, but I just don't think that this specific one is really all that worth it, although I could be wrong. Next up, we got Budget Scheming, 2-cost event, give an experience token to each of up to 3 official units. Again, this is encouraging going wide, and I don't think we're really going to see all that insane amount of decks that are going to be go wide decks. It really depends on if you're able to action cheat and if you're able to kind of cut through a lot of the things that Star Wars really doesn't focus on in terms of what you want to be doing is playing just kind of high value units and using minimal actions to take the initiative so that you don't have to rely on all these attacks in a certain turn. So we will see if they're able to accomplish that. Next up, we got Charged with Corruption, 3-cost event in command. You may disclose command. If you do, a friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit. So this is kind of interesting because this just seems like kind of weak. Like quite weak, in fact. The disclosed double command is not like a crazy downside, and I'm zooming out here because I'm trying to find another card here while we're talking about this. But I mean, just capturing something doesn't really make me all that excited. And we also have something like Take Captive, which is, you know, capture a non-leader unit in the same arena, but you don't have to disclose command. Now, I don't think disclosing command is going to be all that limiting, but it is something that you do have to consider. And I think in general, Take Captive hasn't been that great, although that is partially because you can't take space units when you're in the ground arena. So maybe it's a little bit better. I just don't see it being all that strong. Next up, we get with Thunderous Applause, 3-cost event, give a unit +2/+2 for this phase. You may disclose command. If you do, give another unit +2/+2 for this phase. So you essentially can give +4/+4. This is like Moment of Glory, but in my opinion, just worse. Moment of Glory gives 1 unit +4/+4. This forces you to attack with 2 separate units to get the full effect of the card and to have another command card to make it work. So you need 2 units and you have another command card to even get that secondary effect. Moment of Glory isn't that strong, and these pump effects just aren't that great. What I will say is I so far do really like this theme. They are really going hard on like this go wide, have multiple cards in your hand, do this kind of planning, setting up, and then finishing out the game that way. So I am pretty excited for the set. That was certainly the majority of them in the command aspect, but we do got a couple in the cunning aspect, starting off with Bail Organa. What emotional art, by the way. Like this scene right here. Ooh, Order 66. Ooh, all right. Anyways, 2-cost ground unit in Cunning Heroism, 2/4 Republic official. On attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, create a spy token. Honestly, seems pretty reasonable, especially with the new Padme. You know, and creating a bunch of spy tokens as a 2/4 body, it seems like it could be good. There are a lot more ways to kind of draw some additional cards, and I could see Bail doing some good work. Again, in Padme, again, if for those of you that don't remember what Padme does here, I'm just going to pop over to the leaders. This is the new leader. Whenever you reveal or discard 1 or more cards from your hand, you can deal 1 damage to a unit. So essentially the way this works is you discard a card to deal 1 damage to something, and you can create a spy token. It seems okay. I mean, it's a 2-resource 2/4, not too bad stat line. I mean, I could see it doing work. Next up, we got 2-cost space unit in Cunning Heroism Bravo Squadron Fighter. It's a 2/3 with Saboteur. Honestly, I'm not as excited about this one, even though Saboteur is relevant in certain circumstances. It's not as relevant as it used to be. Like 7th Fleet Defender was a very common card, you know, really last set and before. Nowadays, you don't really see it all that often. You don't really see a ton of shielded units. That said, I mean, it's also one less power than what most decks in Cunning Heroism want to have. So I don't really see this being all that great. But, hey, 2-3 Saboteur in space, not bad. And we've got another Hunter here. I saw a post here. I didn't see any of these cards besides Hunter beforehand, and the post was like, oh, great, to add to the collection of unplayable Hunters or something like that. I just thought it was so funny because it's so true. 6 cost ground unit in Cunning Heroism. It is a 7/6 Fringe clone. It has Saboteur, and then on attack, if the defender is exhausted, it gets -4/-0 for this attack. Honestly, guys, I mean, Cunning Heroism, there's so many parts about it, but you don't really want to be doing this, like, kind of value-oriented kill off your units every single attack type of deal. I mean, it's not a bad stat line by any means. 6 cost 7/6 with Saboteur is good. I just wish it had some other ability other than what it's giving us, because you don't really want to be attacking units in Cunning Heroism on 6 resources. I don't really see this being played, especially compared to like Depa Balaba and Han or Plo Koon around that point. Just not having ambush makes it so much weaker. And yeah, Hunter back on the chopping block. Next up, we got Sneaking Suspicion, 2 cost upgrade in Cunning. It's got Plot +1/+1. Again, same thing with the Unveiled Power, is it? I forget the name already. Unveiled Might. It's a super overcost upgrade because they think that Plot with upgrades on your leaders is just OP. And honestly, I can see it because it can be very, very dominating. I think that they could have gone a little bit less like aggressive on not pushing the cards. But yeah, +1/+1 for 2 resources is atrocious. But it's really all about the plot where you deploy your leader, you get it on the leader. I think it could be good still, especially the very cheap ones like this, where you get to fill in the spots since you could just deploy it from your resource pile anyways. Honestly, I'm kind of curious how Plot's really going to interact with everything when it's really cheap like this, because you might be able to plot multiple cards, right? Next up, we've got Bog Down in Procedure. It's a 3 cost event in Cunning. Exhaust unit if you wanted to disclose Cunning. Exhaust another unit. So 3 resource event in Cunning, you can exhaust 2 units. I don't really see this being good at all. There's a lot of, exhaust entire arenas, no good to be dead. A lot of exhaust going on. I just don't see this being good at all, especially when you have Bamboozle, no good to be dead, Outmaneuver, I mean, just a million other ones. I would prefer so many other cards in my main deck over Bog Down in Procedure. The only exception to that is similar to what I said earlier about Bail Organa and all the disclosed cards, to be honest, but Cunning in particular because it is in Padme's aspect. These disclosed cards are a little bit more exciting because you can trigger Padme, right? Next up, we've got Political Bully. This is a 3 cost ground unit in Villainy. It's a 2/3 public official. When played, if you control another official, you may deal 2 damage to a ground unit. So nothing too crazy, kind of like the Jedi Knight that we have in the game where it's, if you have initiative, you can do 2 damage to a ground unit. Honestly, these types of cards have been, kind of a hit or miss. The fact that you have to have another official unit isn't too difficult, but you do get a 2/3, which isn't that exciting. I mean, I could see it doing decently, to be honest. Again, with Jedi Knight, you have to have the initiative, which is a little bit less consistent. This one's a lot more consistent because having an official on turn 1 seems like it's going to be very easy to set up. So 2 damage to a ground unit, I mean, I could see that doing some good work in some cases. And then in terms of our last 2 cards, we've got B2 Mo. We've got 1 cost ground unit in Heroism with a 0/4 Restore 1. On attack, you may disclose double Heroism. If you do, give a unit Sentinel for this phase. So you can kind of give Heroism or Sentinels 2 cards, assuming you have double Heroism in your hand. I mean, double Heroism is a lot more tricky than like double Cunning or double Vigilance or double Command. It's a lot more tricky. Restore 1 isn't that exciting, has no power. Maybe if there's some value with disclosing cards, guys, maybe we could see Bitumo actually do some work. Next up, we've got Moral Authority, 3 cost upgrade in Heroism, attached to a friendly unique unit. When played, attached unit captures an enemy non-leader unit with less remaining HP than it, and it's just +2/+0. So it's kind of like your legal authority, but it's moral authority, which makes sense. I mean, legal authority, it comes down and you've got +0 +2, but it's based on power, and this one's +2 +0, but it's based on HP. So it's kind of the inverse, but it's one extra cost. That's probably because HP is a little bit easier to get. Now you can maybe put this on like a leader unit and prevent it from dying for a little while. The only thing about that is legal authority keeps your unit alive, and also it doesn't have the restriction of being a friendly unique unit. So I'm not as high on moral authority. Not that legal authority is all that great, but I don't see this one being played even less. Maybe if it had a plot, honestly, if it had a plot, this could be potentially pretty solid. So missed opportunity there, I guess. But that's pretty much all we've got. There's of course all the Battle for Hoth cards, but overall, I mean, nothing too crazy to come out of the initial kind of spoiler reveal. It's nice to be able to see kind of a lot of these random new mechanics and how they're shaping out to be and what they're trying to be careful of, what they're trying to think of, and what strategies they're trying to build up to. There's clearly a big focus on trying to develop this game plan to go a lot wider in especially the command side of things. There is also kind of a lot of, I don't want to say combo potential, but like a lot of synergy potential with the cunning side of things. And then we also get to see plot and what they're scared of and what they're trying to lean towards. Looks like they're trying to maybe push a little bit more of the go wide type of strategies with plot, whereas they're very scared of just overpowering the upgrades coming out. And again, I can totally see it. Like if this unveiled might was 2 resources and then the sneaking suspicion was 1 resource, like I could see these being played in like so many decks, because again, these are kind of just like free value plays. Think of these as like smuggle almost, when you're looking at these plots, and almost every deck wants a couple of cards that they could smuggle out just to get a little bit of extra value from your resource pile, which is what the game's all about these days. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what your favorite card is. I mean, honestly, I think my favorite card is the Mina Bonteri, which might be a little bit sad, but it is what it is, guys. Just a little bit of value is very, very cool. I do like Vice Admiral Rampart. I think going wide hopefully could get there, but I'm curious to see. And I'll see you all for the next one.